Christmas! I have a special present for you, anyway. There you go, Sonny. Oh.
And what did Santa bring you, honey?
Merry Christmas!
There's children throwing snowballs instead of throwing heads. They're busy building toys and absolutely no one's dead. There's frost in every window, oh I can't believe my eyes. And in my bones I feel the warmth that's coming from inside. Oh look, what's this?
The Nightmare Before Christmas is a movie about Jack Skellington, and Jack Skellington lives in the land of Halloween. And Halloween is a spooky place where it ruins kids' dreams. There is a lot of song and dance in this movie, and I'm not a fan of musicals, but this being an animated movie, I can let the musical aspect go, and so I accept it. And there's also narration in here at the beginning, and it's just very brief, just explaining everything, so I accepted it. Interesting enough, I find out that Jack Skellington is sung by Danny Elfman. He does all the singing, while Chris Sarandon, my man who played Jerry Dandridge in Fright Night, sexy handsome man, he is Jack when he's just talking normally. And Jack is a man who feels like he is the absolute best at what he does, and so he becomes bored with it. While Jack Skellington is feeling sorry for himself, Sally, played by Catherine O'Hara, is a woman who is being controlled by in the credits it says evil scientist. That's weird. But evil scientist is just a guy who just wants to keep Sally chained up and for himself, but she doesn't want him, and so he locks her up, and she has this fixation with Jack, and so she tries to get Jack to like her, and they have this love in the air where she has love for him, but he's just too fixated with his ideas. And the evil scientist is just kind of fed up with Sally constantly running away. You know, he doesn't get a clue at first. And Jack is just singing a song about his feelings and his problems. And his dog Zero and him walk into this area where it shows all of the different holidays, and so Jack finds the Christmas tree and he falls into that dimension, witnessing all of this Christmas around him. It's something that is different. He's never experienced this before, so he becomes overwhelmed by it. Having this epiphany and this vision and idea for what he wants to do with his life now, he takes this back to Halloween and he expresses his emotions and feelings with them, and usual song and dance. And Halloween season area, or whatever you want to call this dimension, they are not quite sure about it, but they are excited because of Jack's excitement. However, Sally has a premonition and she pictures disaster. And she tries to warn Jack, but he's too caught up in himself and his idea, and so he's not listening to her when she's trying to explain how this is not going to work, but he's just too stuck in his own mind. And so he just continues to go with the plan, and she continues to go along with it because she can't say anything to him. He's just not listening to her. And while Jack is trying to prepare for his new career, he hires Lock, Shock, and Barrel, and he assigns them with the task to capture, kidnap Santa Claus. And they screw up at first and capture the Thanksgiving turkey.
That's
not Sandy Claus.
It isn't? Who is it?
Bunny!
And while Jack is preparing, Sally is like, I have to come up with a plan to stop Jack from sabotaging Christmas. And then finally, Lock, Shock, and Barrel capture Santa Claus and bring him back to Jack. And at this point, Jack just seems like a full-blown villain, not having a care in the world about anyone else's well-being. He just snatches Santa Claus's hat right off his head and takes it for himself and says, just dispose of this man. Very villain-like. And the kids, Lock, Shock, and Barrel take Santa Claus to the Boogeyman. And the Boogeyman is just being the Boogeyman. Jack tries to go off on his mission, but then Sally sabotages it. But then Zero, who is kind of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, guides Jack and his sleigh off into Christmas Land. Jack goes into Christmas Land and he sabotages Christmas, and people in Christmas Town are freaking out, and so they shoot at him, but he thinks they're celebrating him. But then eventually they shoot him down, and once they do, Sally is like, okay, I have to stop this. And so she goes out to find Santa Claus. And also on top of that, we have the evil scientist who's like, I'm sick of Sally playing around with me, and I'm not going to be so attached to her, I'm fed up. So then he decides to create a woman that is in his image. But we don't know that until the very end of the movie. But I like how it drops these subtle hints instead of just it appearing at the end and feeling like, where did this come from? So Sally finds Santa Claus at the Boogeyman's lair, and she tries to save him, but ends up getting captured herself. And Jack, feeling distraught about his mission to change Christmas in his mind, he is upset with himself about how that failed, and during this song and dance routine and him feeling sorry for himself, he finally realizes that, hey, the life that I had wasn't so bad at all. It's like one of those, you need to appreciate what you have and stop trying to, achieve for the things that you don't have. You need to appreciate the things that you have and stop taking them for granted. I don't think the way the movie illustrates that is super deep or anything. It's just kind of sudden, But if you look at it from an adult standpoint, it's like, okay, he's going on an ego trip and he wants to do something different because he wants to spice up his life. He goes ahead and does that, and then he fails. And so within his failure, he finally realizes what he had and how he is good at that. And so he can just stick with that and not try to do anything different, even though, he messed up already. He learned through failure about how much that he does actually have, and I thought that was interesting, but in the movie it just happened kind of suddenly. So realizing this, he goes and he tries to save Santa Claus from the Boogeyman, and then realizes that Sally is there as well, and Jack Skellington and the Boogeyman have a fight, and Boogeyman is easily defeated. And I remember when I saw this movie as a kid, this scene really grossed me out. And it still kind of does. I just don't like bugs. Every time I see bugs, I start itching and scratching myself, like I'm on drugs, and I don't like bugs.
We got flies all over the fucking place. Son of a get out of here, you fucking flies. There's a fly over the headlight, Tony. We got flies coming for us. Out of here, you flies. We got 3 flies, 5 flies.
And every time I see this Jack Skellington and Boogeyman fight scene, I get grossed out. I start itching and scratching my skin because, to this day, bugs just still gross me out. And in this movie, the animation is spot on. So Jack saves the day. He rescues Sally and Santa Claus, and then Santa Claus goes back to his own dimension and he saves the day there. And then Jack finally realizes what he had and how much he has, and so he doesn't have those ambitions anymore, and he falls in love with Sally. And Halloween is still Halloween, but with a little bit of spice. And it seems like the people in the Halloween dimension love it, so now they can have Halloween during the winter time, and that does sound exciting. and Sally and Jack get together, and that's the end of the movie, and I wouldn't mind seeing the sequel of their relationship. I would say that the Nightmare Before Christmas is a good movie. It is a good movie. I enjoy it. I think there is a message in there, and I would say that I wouldn't let my kids watch this because there are some spooky things in here. But I would say my preteen can watch this movie as long as I feel they can convince me that they're mature enough to understand it and to follow it and know that, yes, you know, what's going on here is not real, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, I'd let my preteen watch this, not my kid, because there's some spooky stuff in here. But I enjoyed the movie. I wish it was a bit longer. This is a really short animated movie, and by God, man, the animators need to get credit in here, and that's fantastic. It's fantastic work. I don't know what kind of animation this is. It's not like your usual animation. I don't know what you would call this, but it looks good. And I had fun with this movie. It was fun. I like the message in here. I like the animation. The music is really good. It does go on and on, but it is a musical, so whatever. But I really like this movie. I would say that I would watch this every Christmas season, even though, yes, I would say that, yeah, The Nightmare Before Christmas isn't a Christmas movie, because when you see Christmas Dimension in here, it looks nothing like Halloween Dimension. So it's two separate movies, and I wouldn't mind if they made a spin-off of this in Christmas season, in the Christmas Dimension. But I like the Nightmare Before Christmas, and if I had to give it a grade, I would give it an A. I'd give it a solid A. It's a solid movie. I just wish it were a little longer. Who knows what they could have added in here. They should definitely make a sequel. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.
And sit together